Hello everybody, it is the Amazing Gaming Guy here, and welcome back to Planet Coaster, where we are continuing with our Dueling Dragons build. Now, I am really excited for this episode of our build, because, well, you'll just have to wait and see. I think what I've built in this episode is really quite nice, and I'm so happy with how it's turned out. So what I'm going to be trying to make is a sort of a Zen garden, sort of lake area around this ride you can see here. And again, like I was doing last episode, I'm trying to put a lot of levels and a lot of different heights and stuff into this part of my build. So I've actually lowered this area down into a sort of valley, or a sort of a ditch. No, valley is a much better word. Ditch sounds kind of dirty. It's not a dirty place. It's a really nice place. So into a valley that's going to have like a lake in it, and hopefully I'll be able to put in some shop buildings as well, sort of cleverly disguised as sort of really nice sort of shrine buildings or temple buildings. I think it's going to be really good, and having seen how it turns out, I know that it does turn out quite well. So you'll just have to wait for that. But I've started by creating this nice spiral staircase down into the valley, and I'm just building up around this with some rocks. It was going to be very difficult to do this with terrain, because I wanted to sort of lay out the path first and then build the terrain around it. So I decided the best thing to do was actually to go with rocks, sort of objects, rock objects, you know what I mean. The actual physical rocks that you can place. That's what I'm trying to say. I was going with those rather than using like a terrain brush or something, and I think it worked out a lot better this way, and it looks quite cool. And I've managed to put in some sort of leveling and stuff there. It looks like it's coming down in sort of slight terraces, which is really important. That's what I was sort of looking for with this part of the build. I'm trying to build it out in layers and little terraces and stuff. So yeah, that was going quite well. And I'm also putting in some more foliage here, again trying to keep the nice colours. I'm going for a sort of Japan in springtime look, so I'm using a lot of pinks and reds, and even those little purple bushes. It's meant to look sort of really healthy, really vibrant, and just full of life. I'm even putting in some yellow sort of I can't remember what those were called. those yellow trees. I was putting those in as well, which I've not put any of those in yet, but now I have, and it looks quite good, I think. Then I wanted to go along here and put some fencing in, and I went for a nice red and white design here. As I was saying last time, I don't want to go too overboard with the colours, but in this area, it's actually appropriate for me to use quite a lot of colour, because it's meant to be quite a grand temple area, and they typically would have a lot of colour. So that's what I'm really trying to implement here. So to completely counteract what I was saying in the last episode, I will be putting a lot of colour in this one, but there'll be less colour back in the town, which is meant to be more traditional in its use of sort of plain woods and rock and mortar and that sort of thing. Now I'm just digging out the holes and the gullies for the lake itself. It's going to be a very shallow lake. It's not meant to be deep, and I'm just going to cover that with some stone texture, and I'm going to come back in a bit and actually manually place rocks all over this area, because I wanted to get like a sort of Zen garden style sort of I don't know what you'd call it, like the stones and pebbles and stuff you have there, and there's just no texture or anything for it in this game. So I'm actually trying to use both the stone texture that I can place down with a brush, and also the actual physical rocks that I can place to try and substitute that, and I think I get there in the end. So yeah, this area I'm trying to build a nice little bridge here. It's meant to be really idyllic, really nice looking. It took me a little while to get it right, but I think I got there in the end. took a little bit of trial and error, but eventually I settled on having it mostly sort of rise, mostly at a gradient, if you know what I mean, but then a tiny little flat bit at the top of the bridge, and I think that looked really nice in the end. And also behind it I wanted to build a cool waterfall, a nice cascade of water coming down into the valley. I thought that would look really good, and I've done it over in the Alpine Adventure area, and I thought it looked really good over there, so I'm using the same technique to build my waterfall over this side, and you'll see me do that in just a moment. But first, I am placing the rocks that I was mentioning earlier. I am trying to make a bed for this area, make a foundation that looks more appropriate and more like the sort of reference images and stuff I was looking at for sort of Zen gardens and beautiful idyllic lakes, Japan, and that's what I was really going for here. And you see the lake is a little bit split by that path there. I don't know whether I should keep it split like that or have it go over a bridge again. I think I'm going to keep it split because I don't want two bridges in this area, and it kind of works. It kind of makes sense having two little bits of lake, although I might have a second waterfall at some point. I might do that because it seems a bit weird that the water's just coming from nowhere, so I'll try and implement that in a little bit. So yeah, that's my waterfall that I was building. You can see I just popped back over to the Alpine area just to have a quick look at the other one, just as a reference of how to build it. But yeah, I think it turns out quite well. This is quite a good way of doing it. I use the splash animation, the splash special effect thing, rather than the sort of water jet ones, because the water jet ones are very, very thin and precise, and it doesn't look good even if you put loads together. So to make more of a sort of cascade, I'm using the splash effect, and it does go a little bit crazy at the top. You get like a big load of spray coming at the top, which is a little bit too dramatic for this area, but I figured it was better than the alternative of trying to piece together tiny jet streams. It wasn't going to work. Now, a problem I had was I couldn't actually place any of these rocks directly around the area where the ride is. I completely missed the R in that word. The area where the ride is. So I had to go back and place some foliage on that instead. But first I'm just putting some coloured planks over this bridge here. Now, I wasn't sure whether I should make this more ornate than it is now. I wanted to keep it simple, but I have a feeling that maybe I should go back and put a little bit more effort into this bridge, because I don't know whether it looks a little bit lackluster or not. But I put some supports and stuff in. I tried to make it look a little bit more custom, a little bit more interesting, and I think it turns out well, but maybe I need to put a little bit more into it. Let me know what you think, guys, about that one. But I do want to keep it fairly simple as well. I don't want it to be too crazy. Now, going around doing one of my favourite things in this game, adding foliage. Again, nice coloured trees, coloured bushes and things, and that's what I was really using to bring this whole area together, to make it look more natural, more purposeful. I was trying to make it look really, really nice, because I was basing this, and I've started doing this in this build, and I hope that it will show a bit later on. I base the views and the areas that I build on like paintings and beautiful photographs and things, and I try to recreate not the exact image, but like the sort of view, if you know what I mean. So I was actually using some beautiful Japanese paintings for this area, with really nice, it's the really traditional Japanese sort of printing style that you see sometimes. Absolutely so beautiful, so beautiful. And I was trying to recreate the feeling of some of those in this build. So, the way that the bridge goes over the water with the waterfall behind it. And I mean, obviously there wouldn't have been any roller coasters in those paintings, but in terms of the scenery, trying to recreate the same sort of idea. And I think think it went quite well, especially in this area, and I'm definitely going to be trying this technique a lot more later on. It's something I've learned through the sort of course that I'm doing in my education in the real world. If you guys don't know, I'm sort of studying a sort of film course in London, and something that I learnt a while ago is that really great directors often use a painting. They'll actually go to like galleries and things and look at real paintings and then use them to compose shots. So that's something I'm really trying to do here in this park now. I'm really trying to take that idea of composing a shot and a view using a beautiful painting, and do that in a theme park style, and I think it's actually working quite well. This little building that I'm building here is sort of a shrine-looking sort of thing, although it's most definitely a shop. There's 2 shops in there. There's a pizza place and a hot dog squad. Can't remember what the pizza ones are actually called. I think they've only just been introduced, actually, the pizza places, so that's quite cool. That's probably the first one that I've put in this park. But yeah, this place is turning out quite nice. I don't know if it's disrespectful to sell hot dogs and pizza out of a shrine. It might be, and I'm really sorry if it is, but it's only a game, so let's not be too worried about it. And it looks good as well, and it sort of fits into the environment, so yeah, let's hope that's okay. That's actually the very first time I've seen blueprints for scenery items. I had never looked in that tab before, and I don't know why, because it's really cool. There's some really great stuff in there. Obviously, I don't want to use any of it in this build because I want to build everything myself, but for my own personal builds, I'm going to be using that little blueprint tab more and more because there's some really cool stuff in there. I don't know if it's workshop stuff or if it's all just game dev stuff. Not sure. Now I'm just finishing off this build by recoloring the ride there, and yeah, that's it. That's just about all we've got time for today. I hope that you've enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a like, comment and subscribe for more, and ding that little bell thing because you have to apparently to see my videos in your subscriptions, whatever. Yeah, see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.